Hello, welcome to another RMCT map preview, and today we're looking at the map from the RMCT final, which is coming up in the next few days. And this map is Tunnel Vision by a whole bunch of people. Last username, iTruthful, FifthWhammy and FreckleEars. And a very, very complicated map, so this is going to be quite a lot of information to take in, so pay attention. And I'm joined by one of the players from this RMCT final, so it's going to be between PME and Bulletproof, and we have YYY of PME here to help us go over the map.
Hello.
Hello. So, first thing to say about Tunnel Vision is fundamentally unique gameplay mechanic is this main lane, isolated lane thing. So, there are two kind of divided sections of your team's lane. The main lane, which has all the resources in it and has like the wool dungeons where you have to press a button to release the wool, and then the isolated lane, which has basically no resources and has the same three wools, but that it has like a dispenser which releases the wool when someone in the main lane presses their button. So it's like a cooperative wool. Basically, you can't get a wool on your own. You have to have a teammate go in there and press the button to release it while you stand in the isolated lane to pick it up. Is that about right?
That sounds about right. The only small technicalities with that is there are 5-minute despawn on items, so there are a couple places where the wool will drop, and you could, in theory, run to it. But for the most part, coordinating with your team and making sure two people are running the wool, one in the main lane and one in the ISO lane, is very important. Yeah,
and also, of course, it's possible to pass resources between the main lane and the isolated lane. In loads of places, you can pass a chest around the side and lean over and pick items up, and there are various places where it's really easy to do that. So I guess we'll talk about that more as we go through the map, but just wanted to point out from the start this fundamental thing that every time you respawn on the starting platform, you have to choose whether you're going into the isolated lane or the main lane, and you cannot go between those two lanes in any other way than dying and respawning at the beginning and then choosing which way you're going to drop down. So it's quite a kind of unique gameplay mechanic, and it's worth it's worth being aware of before you start watching the final, because this is going to be really, really confusing in a lot of ways. So I guess we should begin by just maybe going down the main lane and taking a look to see what resources are available.
That sounds good. So for the first chest, there are general PvP supplies, torches. There's also some TNT and some redstone items, as well as beds. It's your general starting supplies.
So you've got swords, you've got bows and arrows, no pickaxes, but there is a little bit of wood available here, so I guess if you need an early pick, you can craft a wooden one.
Mm-hmm. And you will definitely need an early pick to deal with the sandstone you have to dig through to make it further down the lane.
Yeah, so you've got to get through like 3 blocks of sandstone here, which obviously crafting a pick and using that to get through is going to be the quickest way forward, I would guess. And then in this kind of sandstone tower here, there's like a number of different chests. Where are you? I'm trying to find you.
I'm
okay.
Below you.
Yeah. So shall we go through these chests then?
Yeah. So the first level is the potions. There are speed 2 potions, regeneration potions, and health potions. And on the other side, there is a sharpness 2 iron sword, as well as a iron helmet and chestplate.
Okay. And then coming up here, we have this one here.
The next level is, which one are you looking at? Power 1 bow. Okay.
Power 1 bow.
So this second level is probably the most important level because it has the Power 1 bow, which is one of very few enchanted bows on the map, as well as the Efficiency 10 diamond shovel.
Yep. If you saw a past match on this map, it would have been efficiency shears, but of course, because of the changes to enchantments, it has to be a shovel now. So that helps you like gather blocks, I guess, really, really quickly.
One thing that we saw in the past match on this is that the teams would dig a trench around the back end and blocks, as well as make a fast path for the team to move forward on the lane.
Yeah, and that efficiency 10 just plows through the sand incredibly fast.
And then the final level is the I believe, cannons kit. It is one of 4 cannons kits on the map. Each cannon kit is the same. So there is very limited TNT on the map with how important it is.
Yeah.
One or two blasts of TNT can take out all the way across the lane, because these lanes are very small.
Yeah, that's the other thing to point out. The lanes are only 5 blocks wide, which is like probably the narrowest RFW map in existence. I don't think you could go any narrower than 5 blocks and still have an effective map. So that's the kind of the first resources you get to then. So let's carry on down. Take me to where the next key items are.
The next area is down inside this house. Inside this house, there are plenty of blocks, as well as some food and leather torches. And then across are some more bows and swords.
Okay, and this house I remember seeing in the Redstoner's Whiskey Brigade game got cannoned fairly quickly earlier on.
Yes.
I believe by Whiskey Brigade.
Yeah, it's a very popular cannon spot because those blocks are the easiest to obtain this early on in the game. The only other blocks that you can really get at this point are from the diamond shovel, and you have to take the time to go up and retrieve that.
Yeah, and of course you're only getting sand, so if you want to craft it into non-gravity blocks, then you only get a quarter of the amount. So yeah, those blocks I guess are fairly important. No stone blocks in there, cobblestone or anything either, so you can't upgrade your tools to cobblestone, I guess, if that's important to you. Cow spawner here, so that I'm guessing is a renewable source of food during the game, as long as it exists.
As long as it's not cannoned, you have cows spawning. Sometimes they can get in the way, though.
And I've seen them sometimes also get sucked up into the water stream and swim their way up here, which is kind of cool. And I guess, well, yeah, now we're up here, let's take a quick look at this. This is the UFO kind of floating over the peaceful land down below.
So up above the water stream, there's the UFO. In this, there are two important things. The second cannon chest, right here that Martin was looking into, as well as this villager over here. The villager over here trades 4 emeralds for a power 3 bow, full durability.
So you can get 4 emeralds by going all the way to the far end of the map, and I guess if we remember, we'll point those out when we get there. But then you can come back here and get yourself 1 power 3 bow, which is full durability, and I guess that's pretty important, pretty powerful item on the map.
It will chew through armor regardless of what you're wearing. The only other really important thing to note is there are 2 Enderman spawners here. If you want to farm them, you don't have to. It's team preference, really.
And I guess Ender Pearls could be a useful thing for getting up to the Victory Monument. So possibly useful to use the Enderman spawner there. I guess while we're talking about the Victory Monument then, let's just fly up here and take a quick look at that. So again, another of these maps are the really high up Victory Monument. So when the teams have collected their 3 wools, they have to win the game, they have to come and place their 3 wools on these 3 end portal blocks here in order to win. There's not too much to say about this other than the fact that it's kind of the DreamWorks moon, which is pretty cool.
Complete with fishing rod here at the end.
And that, of course, this is going to make for some interesting victory runs, because teams are going to have to figure out their way of getting up here, either by pillaring up or by purling up or doing some kind of crazy Icarus cannon. So yeah, moving on from that, back down here.
I think the next best area would be the tree.
Okay. Yes. This is the. So this is not the start of one of the wolves, is it?
No, it's not. This is the entrance to the main resource area. There's actually inside the tree. There's a ladder, a deceptive ladder. It just kind of drops you off after 3 blocks. That will take you down all the way down to the bottom, where there is iron and diamond.
Okay, yeah. So just down in this little room. Hang on, show me where are you? Let me TPC. I've lost you. Okay, yeah. So iron and diamond is like in this the area of ore here.
There's the ore here, but there's also way below down in this tree area. There are cannon supplies, potions. There's another weapons and torches food chest, which come in handy if you're running low on resources, as well as a brewing stand down here below the trees.
That's it. Yep, that's the only brewing stand on the map, so that's fairly important to be aware of. And the lovely cave spider spawners hiding in the leaves.
There is one creeper spawner, and then I believe 2 cave spider spawners down here, just waiting for you. Oh wait, here's a
Lovely.
second creeper spawner. I missed that one.
And then on beyond there is a few iron and diamond blocks here, I guess, and some coal.
Mm-hmm.
And one more chest down here, which is stone picks.
They give you all the resources needed to mine this. You just have to make it past all of the death in the trees.
And then off to the side of the tree here, there's this kind of small area that you have access to, where it's just basically spawning pads, which are there, as far as I can tell, to cause grief for a player going along in the isolated lane. So we may see teams just taking the time to light this area up just to make the other isolated lane players run a little bit easier. But I guess we could probably mention that later on as we're going through the walls. Up here I noticed there was also another chest which is just more weapons and torches and stuff just down below the melon farm. And then, yeah, let's kind of move on to these ones.
Okay. Right here, after the big frozen lake, there are brewing supplies.
Okay.
Which you can use with that brewing stand down in the forest to give your team an advantage.
So you can make yourself health potions. I'm guessing there's slime balls somewhere, so you could make fire resist potions.
Yes, there are slime balls up in the UFO.
Oh, indeed, yeah, in the dispenser up at the top of the UFO.
Mm-hmm.
And then gas tiers, so you can make regen.
And then 4 iron blocks, sorry. These are the quickest accessible iron blocks on the map. They require the least effort to get to.
And up to this point, the only armor that we've seen is that half set of iron armor in the early chest, along with the sharpness sword. So,
yeah, there's also leather that you can craft, but that takes time. If you can get someone ahead fast enough, this is easily accessible for you.
Yeah. Okay, and then so here we have the entrance to the blue wool, which we'll come to later on. And then what next?
Red wool is up here, which we'll also get to later. So I guess the last part is up here at the top of the mountain.
Here.
So up at the top of the mountain, you have the 4th and final cannon's chest, another set of 64 TNT, and then down below there are 7 emeralds.
So enough to get you just one, unless
bow.
Unless we missed one. I just felt like it would make more sense if there were 8, but it looks like there's only 7. So yeah, just enough to get 1 power 3 bow. And then there was also a little house, I think, on the mountainside, wasn't there? Just as you start to go up, but it didn't look to have any resources in, apart from a bed, I guess.
I believe there was a little bit of rotten flesh or something inside of the
rotten flesh and a bed.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Okay. Any more resources inside the 3rd wool? I guess there's like gold blocks up here.
There are golden iron there, and then down below, where you see this little glowstone area, I'm going to go back to left lane because that's what team we're on. There is some iron armor and supplies.
Okay.
It's a fair amount of food down here, as well as torches and nether wart for your potion making.
Is this the only nether wart on the map?
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to start brewing potions, you really have to visit multiple parts of the map before you can even reach that stage. Which is, I guess, one of the nice things about this map, that things are laid out in such a way that nothing is really made easy for you. You have to work for everything. But it's a pretty cool map. So, shall we head back to the start, I guess, and start looking at the 3 wools?
Yeah. Okay, so the first wool starts off right here between the 2 sandstone pillars for the main lane. The first wool consists mostly of main lane parts. And this is also where you can easily pass through one of the chests to the main lane.
Okay, so
to the ISO lane.
So someone in the main lane could easily just kind of break a few blocks here and put a chest down, and then the isolated lane guy can come and collect items from there. I mean, that's definitely not the only place where you can pass items around, but it's a really handy spot to do it.
Yeah, it's the first area that you'll come across, and it's a very easy place to get access to.
Yeah. Okay, so we drop down here,
You come around the other side, and you'll end up at the bottom with all of these cobwebs to climb.
Yep.
So the first section of First Wool comes complete with lovely spider spawner at the top of a climb. They have a habit of knocking you off whatever pillar you're using to climb up here.
Yep, and again, remember the lane is only 5 blocks wide, so getting knocked off is going to be a constant problem. And then down through some more spiders' webs along the bottom.
You have to bridge across here. There is a skeleton spawner in the middle that is not lit up. It will spawn on you. So you have to bridge across here all the way to this center area. Once you hit this section, you can continue across for more resources, or you can go up to the First Wool button.
Okay, so up here is where we get to the First Wool, and then down here, I'll just point out these resources. So we have this rather nice sharpness 3, fire aspect 1 sword, and a bunch more of the kind of general PvP chest with food and stuff. So not PvP, sorry, but just kind of general swords and stuff. Okay, so here is where we go up to press the button to release the First Wool, which is the yellow wool, and it's this button here. You can hear when I'm clicking it, the dispenser is triggering, and then around in the isolated lane,
down here on this ladder,
the wool pops out of. Just picked up 3 blocks of it there. Out of that water stream there. So this is pretty nasty, because I was messing about on the map earlier on, and you kind of emerge just underneath the chest, and you just get dive bombed by creepers constantly. There's 3 creeper spawners up there, and obviously it's in darkness because there's a roof over the top, so it's just a constant barrage of creepers from the sky.
Yeah. With 1.5, the last playthrough of this map, it was not in 1.5. I forget what version they were in, but the creepers were not nearly as aggressive. With 1.5, they will fall on your head if they think they can kill you, and it also shortens the fuse timer, so they're very aggressive in this wool.
Wow. So this is going to be a lot of fun to watch, not to play. Okay, so that's basically First Wool, and so one player comes down here, hits the button to release the wool, and then across in the isolated lane, it's a very simple run. The players just drop down into this water here, make their way along this narrow bedrock tunnel, and drop straight down that ladder there and pick up the wool. And of course, again, because the victory monument is in the main lane, they have to then pass that around in some way back to the teammates in the main lane again. So that's pretty much First Wool.
Yeah. So moving on, let's do Second Wool from the ISO to start.
Okay, because Second Wool is really easy in the main lane, hard in the isolated lane.
So the Second Wool run starts down here for the ISO lane, down at the bottom of the ladder. You have to make it through all of these cobwebs over around to the side. There are also some little goodies up in the stone waiting for you. You have to make it all the way
Goodies?
up.
Goodies in what sense?
Goodies in the sense that, where is it? It's one of these blocks. There it is. Goodies in that sense.
Oh, okay, nice.
Goodies in the fiery death sense.
Indeed. Oh, that's just actually reminded me. Going out of order slightly, but I didn't point out the iron and diamond here on your way to First Wool. So there's this lava column that flows up here, and you could block that off and drop down and grab 3 diamond blocks while you're on your way to or from the First Wool. If you have a fire potion or some kind of way of getting up here, you can also swim up and grab 1, 2, 3 other iron blocks. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
No problem. So you continue this way. Mobs have a tendency to spawn on these dirt blocks. That's why they're here.
Yeah.
And they will sit and fire at you through the holes in the bedrock.
Lovely.
The next section you have to pillar up to here, or ladders, or some way of making it up here, and do the same thing all the way back down.
Yeah.
On the other side, you have to make it along this straight path, And this is where we saw the obsidian on the main lane side.
Yeah, so we
Mobs
have
will
natural spawning mobs on there, like that skeleton with a power bow and this spider, and the spiders can get through, the skeletons can shoot you, so this is probably pretty nasty, I would imagine, on a 1 block wide section.
Yeah, it is completely 1 block wide. You cannot place blocks on the outside because that is void lane, so you have to make it through either blocking up this way or having originally lit up the section.
Yeah. Okay, and then we come up here.
You need to make it all the way up into the snow area, and then it's a short dig through with the snow and ice, not too difficult, until you get down to this bottom section over here. This area is where it gets a little bit tricky, because this just drops you right out over void. You have to find a way to bridge down here across over to where the blue will dispense.
And this is the very bottom of the map, so these blocks are at y equals 0, so you can't go any lower down with the water stream or anything like that. You get across this big empty gap somehow, and then you start pillaring back up, and this, after all those adventures, finally brings you to where the blue wool is going to be released by your teammate.
So for the main lane blue section, you come down here, there's a nice little sign that says blue wool down. You drop down this way, and there will be a couple mobs depending on what time of day you're looking for. You have to manage to find some way to drop down all the way down to the bottom here, and then just kind of run your way through this snowy section. There is a section where you have to climb upward and then drop down into the wool box. As well, in the middle of the main lane wool, there are weapons, torches, and food for you to resupply with.
And then just quickly drop down here, and this is where you release the wool. So, relative to the first wool, that is really, really easy for the main lane player.
Yeah. The first wool is more on the main lane player to be able to run that wool. And it requires less coordination between the two players, 2 or more players that are running the wools in the separate lanes, because the yellow wool just comes out at the ladder. You can grab it within 5 minutes of the button press, whereas this one will drop out into void if you press the button and you don't have someone waiting for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably possible, I would guess, to pass this wool around, so when you're in the isolated lane and you've collected the wool, there's nothing to stop you then placing some of that in the main lane for your teammate to pick up.
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the second wool. Let's take a look at the third.
Okay, for the third wool, we'll start here in the main lane. It starts right here at this nether portal area. It's got a little water emulating the nether portal effect.
So now we've kind of crossed over into a nether-like area.
And for the third wool run in the main lane, you have to storm this castle to make it up to the gold ore up here.
Okay, and so you've got to get past a room with like a couple of zombie spawners. In among this wood, there's a bit of TNT, which I'm guessing could be cannoned, perhaps.
There's TNT. If you have an accidental creeper incident, it could end poorly for you, as well as the skeleton spawner back here in the back behind this wood.
Yeah. Okay, and then so you're up and over the top. You've got to get through these 2 blocks of gold ore, drop down.
And
skeleton
down below,
spawner.
you deal with skeleton spawner and a creeper spawner, as well as any natural spawns down here.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I should probably mention that I have full brightness on my client right now. This is really, really dark, so it's slightly deceptive watching this video. But most of this map is in
day.
Yeah, there's very few places in this map that don't have a roof over the top, so there will be a lot of natural spawns as well. And then we just have to, fall out the world.
As you fly right by it.
We just have to drop down here and hit the button to release red wool into this little room down here.
So for the ISO lane, we have to come back all the way to the beginning of the map, where the red lane, or the red wool run, separates from the blue and yellow wool. Right
Okay,
now.
so it separates really, really early on. So basically, you start out in the ISO lane, yellow and blue drop down the ladder, but for red, we go this way along this completely isolated section along the back. Not really too much you have to deal with, I guess, here because it's completely shielded from the other lane and it's all bedrock, so nothing's going to spawn here. And then we get to here.
You make this run all the way down to the snow area, and you have to dig through this snow. It is 1 thick. I just wanted to double check that before giving any information, but it is 1 thick all the way until the bottom, where you drop out into void. So you have to manage to catch yourself down here.
Okay, and then we come forward.
At this point, you come around to the other side of the lane, where you're completely open to PvP fire from the other team, and you have to climb up the 1 wide snow and ice. There's bedrock directly behind you, so it is completely open to PvP.
So you have absolutely no protection, and you have to pillar all the way up, or ladder or whatever, but you've got to get up here totally exposed to the other team. So that could be a really tricky section, I would guess. And then a little pass around spot here I noticed actually. So you can, just at this little point at the top of that climb, you can get through to the back of the lane and perhaps pass some wool around so that someone else can collect it from the safer side or whatever. Or indeed you could pass it around to here and then someone else could pass it around up to there. So there's a few options there for passing the wool back once you've been and got it.
Yep. So once you've made it through all of the PvP heavy areas digging, you have to somehow deal with this lava area over here. This section of the wool is a lot of up and downs with lava. You have to find some way to deal with the lava to make it all the way down here, and then you need to deal with this lava curtain here. You go through the lava curtain over to the other side over here, at which point you climb up all the way up this netherrack.
Yep.
And through to the ladders and side.
And then we climb up the ladders around there, punch through some more gold ore, and that brings us to this little glass room here, which hopefully will contain the red wool if your teammate has pressed the button.
It's a very daunting wool to go through. It does take a little bit of practice to get everything down, to make sure you're going the right way. And even the slightest mistake could end up catching you on fire or changing how you have to go about dealing with it.
Yeah, it's really, really intimidating map in lots of ways, actually. And then, of course, having successfully got all 3 wools and somehow passed them around to the main lane, your final challenge is to get them up to the Victory Monument and place them on those 3 end portal blocks there, which, again, is probably going to be a bit of a challenge in itself, to be honest. So, how long would you say matches are going to take? How long do you think the final is going to be?
So, the original match between the Redstoners and Whiskey Brigade, I believe, took around 1 hour and 45 minutes. Don't quote me on that. That's how long I remember watching it for. I remember it being shorter than the 2-hour time limit. That's all I remember. But
of course now the time limit is 1 hour 40 now.
Yeah.
So
time limit is shorter now. So
I guess it's a possibility this match could actually go to the full time.
We could see a full time limit. On the other hand, I do, in my opinion, the Whiskey Brigade and Redstoners took a while to get their resources going. And both teams, from how they've played during RMCT4, tend to be faster on moving to wool and getting their resources moved about. They spend less time organizing, per se, and more time getting things done. So I think I would put an estimate probably somewhere between 40 minutes and an hour for the low side, with the high side obviously being the hour 40 minute.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a really interesting game. Both teams have obviously come all the way to the finals. They've had to beat some really, really good teams to get here and shown themselves both to be very accomplished teams. Obviously, you guys have been practicing a huge amount. I have no doubt that Bulletproof have also been practicing a huge amount as well. it's going to be a really exciting game. Don't forget that it's happening this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Check on the post on /r/Minecraft. At the top there, the sticky post has all the details of when the match is in your time zone. There's a little time zone converter there. Follow RMC Tourney on Twitch to get notified when we are streaming. Follow us on Twitter and everything. I'll put all the links in the description down below. And it's going to be a really, really good final. And may the best team win. Thanks, Will, for joining me.
Not a problem. It was good to be here.
I don't think I could have successfully covered this map without a little bit of help. So that is great. And I will speak to everyone on Friday. Thanks for watching.